Hey Paisanos, it is I'm Mickey Saturn, and wanted to make a quick video this time to talk about the new Xbox One revelations. Basically, I want to bitch about them because it's bullshit, really. Okay, I gotta try to hold back my rage or whatever, so I can sound reasonable at all. But basically, this is sort of like what we already knew. We knew that it was going to have some kind of online verification thing. We knew that there was going to be some kind of fee or something for used games and things like that. But now, the details have been sorted. They have revealed them all, and honestly, in a way, it's even worse than I expected. Because prior to the Xbox reveal, I was like, Microsoft is going to block used games. But then at the reveal, they're like, we're not blocking used games. And I envisioned a system whereby like there was some kind of fee or something to buy a new license. So you can sell a game to somebody, and they would have to go home and like buy a license or something. So there's like a hidden cost that you can't escape or something like that. Is kind of what I was thinking it might be. But now they've let out the details, and it's not like that. Let me tell you what the details are. Okay, the game, you install the game, it activates a license. The license has to check in once every 24 hours in order for the game to stay functional. The license can be transferred one time. So you could give the game to a friend and transfer the license. There's no fee. You can do that once. So I saw people say, so you can lend a game but one time. No, you cannot lend a game because they cannot transfer it back to you. You see what I'm saying? If you can give it away. So you are allowed to play a game, decide you don't like it, and give it away once. And then the person who gets it, they have nothing to do with it themselves once they're done with it. They guess they can set it on fire. Sounds appropriate. Now, what if you want to like play a game at a friend's house? In order to do that, you log into your account and you play through the cloud. When playing through the cloud, the license has to be verified once every hour. So, I mean, that's pretty restrictive, if you ask me. The once every day thing is pretty restrictive. And think about the logistics of that. How does that actually work? If your internet goes down, like let's say I get up tomorrow morning and my internet is down, does the 24 hours start when the internet goes down? Presumably not, right? It's checking against the last time the license was verified. So how often are the licenses actually being verified when the internet is up? Do you see what I'm saying? Because if it's only when you play a game, like you put a game in, you turn it on, and like right now on Xbox 360, you start a game up and it'll check for updates. But when you start it up. So if that's how the license works, then conceivably, if there was a game that I hadn't played today, that I played yesterday, and then I get up tomorrow and my internet's out, well, it's already been over 24 hours since the license was last verified. Do you see what I'm saying? I don't know for sure how that's working. It may be that if the system is on at all, it's like constantly verifying the license for every game that's installed on the hard drive. I don't know, maybe, but I feel like that's kind of stupid and wasteful, but then I think, but this is a Microsoft, so I don't know. That could be how they're doing it. Okay, so this is all complete bullshit. Oh, what about like if people in your family? They said up to 10 like shared accounts on a machine or something like that. I'm kind of paraphrasing from what I got out of the article. Sounded like you can have up to 10 different accounts on one machine that can share a game library. So like all the members of the household that are sharing an Xbox can share their game library. But what if you had people with two different Xboxes, Jimmy's room and Bimmy's room. Bam. OG credentials. If Bimmy and Jimmy had two different rooms and two different Xboxes, if you were that kind of family, I don't know. It could happen. I think you'd be up a creek, is what I'm getting out of this, I think. I mean, you could use the one-time... No, you couldn't. You couldn't even use the one-time gift thing, because when you gift it, it deletes the license from your... You just have to buy 2 games. Is the only way you can handle that. What about used game sales? Used game sales can be enabled by publishers. That's how they put it. Publishers, quote, can enable used game sales at participating retailers. That means GameStop. That means you can't privately sell the game. You can't sell it in a garage sale. You can only sell it to participating retailers, because that is the only way to get around the license transfer issue. So, that's bullshit. It's just... God, it's the worst. And I started... When I first read it, I was like, oh my god, I can't believe it. It's all of the worst things I was afraid of. And then, you know, I saw some people saying, I'm done with Microsoft, I'm done with Microsoft. And then I saw some people saying, well, I don't really care about this sort of thing, it doesn't really bother me. And I was like, okay, but listen. Ugh. Here's the thing. To me, this is a deal breaker for this system, and it would be a deal breaker for any system. Now, because that's the next big question, isn't it? What is Sony doing? People on a lot of websites are assuming that Sony isn't as restrictive, and so Sony wins by default. Sony gets the victory because Microsoft just totally blew it. But I noticed that Sony is being very quiet. Sony's not rushing out to say, oh yeah, look at all those terrible restrictions. Buy the PS4, we have none of those restrictions. They haven't said that. It's more like they've watched Microsoft get the shit kicked out of them, and Sony's kind of going, no, just keep your head down, and maybe they won't notice us. Microsoft gets all the heat, and by the time everyone realizes that the PS4 has the exact same shit, it's like too late. You know, everyone has kind of moved their mental focus towards picking up a PS4 instead of an Xbox or whatever. I'm serious. I'm thinking, I bet you anything, that this is very similar to what's going to happen on the PS4. Very similar, I bet. Like, the more I think about it, the more convinced I feel. Microsoft isn't doing this alone. It would be... I wish they were. I hope they are. But it would be so stupid of them. And I think they know, right? And I think publishers are really part of one of the people pushing for this. And now we know why EA and people like that don't want to support the Wii U. Because there are no such restrictions on the Wii U. And Microsoft told us exactly what they think of us just the other day, when all the gamers got upset. And, we're unhappy with just the rumors of this before it was even fully confirmed. And the guy said, the Microsoft representative said, oh, the gamers will buy anything anyway. But we don't have to cater to the gamers, and we don't have to show them anything they're interested in, because they'll buy anything anyway. Because gamers are a bunch of mindless, dumbass sheep that are freaking addicted to some stupid hobby, so they'll buy anything we put in front of them, and we don't even have to give a fuck about what they want. That's the opinion of Microsoft, and that's... In a frustrating way, that's kind of justified, I feel like, because if all the third-party publishers refuse to support Nintendo, because they don't have these restrictions, and you can only get games on these other machines that do have these restrictions, what are you going to do? Paisanos, what choice are you going to have? And then I realized, of course, the choice that you have is to say, fuck you. Fuck you, EA. God, fuck all of them, and just stick with Steam. People say, but Steam has all the same restrictions. Yes, but Steam doesn't cost me an additional $500. See, that's the thing. Consoles used to have all these advantages over PCs. And now, I feel like consoles are losing all of these advantages. And yet they are more expensive than ever. And it's like there is fewer and fewer reason to buy a console. Now... are consoles going to get a few good exclusives? Sure. But speaking for myself, I know many people feel differently, but I don't care about Halo. I don't care about Gears of War. I don't care about Call of Duty. I don't care about Forza. I don't care about Fable. I don't care about anything, frankly, that Microsoft can bring to the table. I do not care. And Sony is a little bit better off, but not much. You know, Naughty Dog is good. I really like Team Ico, but where the hell have they been? You know? And everyone else is total shit. You know? Infamous has been... I mean, I don't like Infamous. Insomniac, you know? Who gives a crap about them anymore? Who cares about any of these people? They suck. They all suck. The games they make suck. This whole generation has been very disappointing to me. I feel like it's had a lot of the worst games. I mean, you know, it's definitely the least impressive generation that I can think of in terms of the kind of big budget titles. And all, like, absolutely all of the interesting games are coming out of indie developers. And those guys want to be on Steam. They're not interested, I don't think, in being console exclusives. All those games make their way to Steam. Fez is going to be on Steam. You know, Super Meat Boy on Steam. Braid's on Steam. Limbo's going to be on PC. I guarantee it. It's all making its way sooner or later to PC, and any computer could run that. You know, the other reason to have a console instead of a computer is because with a computer you have to finagle, you know, and deal with all the bullshit to try to get a game to run smoothly, and on a console it tends to just kind of work, and that's one of the big advantages, but that's only an advantage if you're playing AAA titles, which I'm not going to be doing, because I don't even like them in the first place. They don't even make good AAA titles anymore in the first place for me to even care about. So why should I buy any of these machines for $500 or $300 or hell, $100? The answer is I shouldn't, and that's increasingly where my head is at. I got a Wii U. I like Nintendo, I like their first-party games, they don't have all this bullshit yet. And I think that's all I'm going to get at this point. I think I'm just going to stick with Steam and play indie games. Nintendo and indie games. I'm going to play indie games and first-party Nintendo, and that's it. I really don't give a fuck about anything else that can even be offered to me in the entire gaming industry. So, good job, Microsoft. You know, and I mean... it's so frustrating because you feel so passionate and then you realize that Microsoft doesn't care. You know what I mean? We can't win. You might be watching this and thinking I'm making a big deal about nothing, and in which case, congratulations, enjoy your console. And if you're watching this and you're feeling like me, that's good. Maybe if enough of us, you know, make enough noise, somehow publishers won't feel like they can be such dicks, you know. But, really, we can't win. Because every year, a new generation of gamers, you know, a new batch of gamers enters the scene, and they don't know anything else, they've never known it to be any other way, and they have no concept of how this should be different, you know? And it won't be long at all, it'll be the span of, you know, all these companies, maybe they'll hurt a little bit like this generation, but by next generation, people that even remember the days before this will be a minority, you know, of the gaming population. And, you know, this is just, you know, some people say this is just where all media is heading. And I don't know about you. I mean, maybe that's true. Personally, I think that's pretty shitty. I don't really like it. I know looking at other areas of my media consumption that I consume less of it as it has gone full digital. Like I used to buy tons and tons of CDs, and I hardly buy anything anymore. Because, you know, most of the stuff I want to buy is mainly on iTunes or Bandcamp or something like that. And, you know, I buy a couple of actual CDs from big enough artists that produce an actual CD. And then I buy like 3 or 4 things on iTunes, and that's it, you know, in a year. I used to buy a CD like every week. And the reason that I buy so much less stuff is because when I was buying a CD every week, it felt very satisfying because it was like I was building up a collection. So it was very, you know, it was like not good enough to go buy like 2 or 3 Pink Floyd songs. It's like I bought every single album from them and built this big collection or whatever. And I did, you know, just systematically worked my way through like the entire history of popular music and stuff in all kinds of different genres. And that was like what I was paying for. And once it shifts to iTunes, it all of a sudden is like, well, do I really want to listen to this very much? No. Like maybe once or twice, well then I can just stream it on YouTube, okay, well then don't buy it, and I won't. And that's, you know, that's where games are heading to me too. You know, it's because I'm the same way with games. I collected a whole ton of games, and there's no point in collecting Xbox One games. They can't be sold. Like, they can't be transferred, so they're not a collectible item in a sense, if that makes sense. That's like, I mean, you could sort of collect them in a way, but to me, it's not, I don't know. Collecting is partly about the trading and the bartering and the going to the gaming convention or the flea market and finding the deal or whatever, and none of that can exist with Xbox One games. None of those things will exist, and therefore they're not collectible. But, I know that's a minority kind of interest, but it just kind of gets to the heart of the issue. It's like, you know what, if this is the future, then I will buy games when they are $5 on Steam, and that's it. And that's all I'll ever do. That's already all I do with Steam as it is. And the truth is, I'll still have plenty of games to play. Like enough games. I mean, I just bought the Humble Bundle for like $5, and it had like 10 games in it or something crazy like that. Who needs this? No one. So I feel, to me, like this is really this is the beginning of the sound. The sound you're hearing right now, it is the death knell of consoles ringing out. You don't need them anymore. They're shit. They're bad investments. They're way too expensive for what you're getting. What you're getting is shit. So, fuck Microsoft, fuck Sony if they take the same route, fuck the publishers if this is what they wanted. I hope you all go out of business for being dicks and leave the whole industry to the indie developers, the only creative people left. And, yeah, that's what I got to say. Let me know if you think I'm totally off base or you agree. Comment, video response, whatever you feel like it, share it, all that stuff that everybody says. And until next time, Paisanos.